Should you buy an adjustable competition kettlebell? Yes. Yes, you should. Probably. Maybe. Do I own an adjustable competition kettlebell? I used to, but I didn't like it, so I sold it on Facebook Marketplace. Today, we're going to talk about how these two statements make sense together. My name is Chris Butterworth. This is the Healthy Butter channel. We talk here about trying to fight off the effects of father time every day, every step of the way. We use kettlebells a lot in that approach. Functional fitness, functional movement, kettlebells, clubs, mace, all work together to make our bodies, bring our bodies into harmony and balance. And we've done a lot of good. I am 56 years old today, and I feel great. A few years ago, as I turned 50, I had some chronic back pain. I had a shoulder issue. I had an elbow issue, and it just seemed like every day you wake up and something else was wrong. And once I discovered this and started on this journey, it has made a world of difference. When we start talking about going down this journey, though, most gyms at this point now have kettlebells. If you go to a gym, you can probably go and sample some different kettlebells and see if there's a size that you like, if there's a weight that works for you. But clubs are a different story. It's hard to find clubs to try. Maces are a different story. And if you don't have a gym membership, or if your gym doesn't have kettlebells, you don't always know where to start. So I want to talk about competition kettlebells. There are some good things about them. There are some things that aren't so good about them. There are some facts that can't be disputed. And then I'm going to share my story. Ultimately, I'm going to come back to the recommendation is that you probably, maybe should buy one. But let's jump into it. What are the good things about adjustable kettlebells? First of all, most of the adjustable kettlebells are competition kettlebells, which means that they are the same size regardless of weight. You can have a set of competition kettlebells from 15 pounds up to 70 pounds, I think, and they are all exactly the same dimensions. This is for guys that do competition kettlebell. Your form, everything is exactly the same. With a competition adjustable kettlebell, it's going to save you on space. If you like me and you start to stack up a few different kettlebells and all of a sudden they're sprawling out on your floor, it can be, they don't take a lot of space, but they take space. Competition kettlebell, there you go, you have one. Now, that being said, they come with free weights inside them, and unless you're going to swing a 70-pound kettlebell, you're going to have to take those weights out and store them somewhere else. So when I had mine, most of the weights were in the garage. I had a couple of weights that I would change, that I would swap in and out next to it, and then I had the kettlebell there. So it took less space than 4 or 5 kettlebells. When you're starting out, especially, and you're not sure what weight kettlebell you want, this is where adjustable shines. If you were to go to the gym and demo one, or if you go to Walmart and demo one, you may pick it up and say, oh, this is light, let me get the heavier one. And then you get home and realize that after a few minutes of that, you bit off more than you can chew, and that heavy one is too heavy. Conversely, you might think that it's really heavy, and then when you start swinging it, you find that you adjust to it quickly, right? Your first few reps of your first few sets of your first few exercises, you're going to get good at it fast. Your learning curve is going to be fastest at the beginning. So getting the right size weight can sometimes be a challenge. And the third thing where adjustable kettlebells really shine, what I loved with my adjustable clubs and what I love with my adjustable maces is being able to increment slowly, small increments. I know the adjustable kettlebell that I had came with 1 kilogram weights, which means that's 2.2 pounds. So I could have a 20 pound, then a 22 pound, then a 24 pound. And you have to do the kilogram to pounds conversion. A 25 pound kettlebell is really more like 26.2 pounds because it's based on a 12 kilogram. So it's never exactly the right, but the point is you can go up by 2 pounds. And I think the adjustable kettlebells today even come with a 1 kilogram, or you can buy a 1 kilogram plate. So you can actually do a half kilogram. So you could do a 1 pound increment. So if you had a 25 pound and a 35 pound bell, and that's a big jump. If you're doing cleans with 25 and then you pick up the 35, it's a lot heavier. That adjustable kettlebell, you could go from 25 to 27 or 28 pounds or something like that. You can make a little jump along the way. So there are some real reasons to get a competition kettlebell. And if you're just starting out, having the ability to fine tune your weight is a big one. Don't underestimate that. The bad things that I found with it is changing the weight is just enough of an annoyance to cause friction within your program. If you set your weight once, you set it to 25 pounds or 28 pounds or 31 pounds, whatever it is that works for you, and now you're going to work with that for a number of workouts in a row, it's probably not such a big deal. But if you start running, if you're doing two-handed swings with one weight and cleans with another weight, and you have to change the weight between every workout, it's just annoying. It takes 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 4, like it's not a big deal, but it's annoying, right? And anything that causes friction to getting something done is an impediment you have to get over, right? If something's harder to do, you might not do it that day, or it's just something that you don't like doing. They are also expensive. A competition adjustable kettlebell is going to cost you between $200 to $300, depending on where you go. Depending on if the website has shipping, it might even be more than that. Now, people that do reviews on them, and when you look at the website, it talks about how it replaces 15 kettlebells, it replaces 23 kettlebells, or whatever it is. But the reality is you weren't going to buy 15 and you weren't going to buy 23. You probably need 2 or 3. If I had a 25 and a 35 pound, I could do the vast majority of my work. When I do an ABC workout, I've shown on this channel before, I do a 25 and a 30, and I switch off. So I do a couple sets with 25, then a couple sets with 30. That is really hard to do with the adjustable ones. So good, bad. A couple of facts about them. If you're not used to them, when you've probably seen videos, you've watched other YouTube channels, Instagram channels, they are big. The competition kettlebells are significantly bigger than the similar weight iron bells. And it's not necessarily good or a bad thing, it's a fact. If you look online, there are plenty of videos where there are women, small frame women, using competition kettlebells and doing full workouts with them. So don't say for a second that it's too big and you can't do it. But there is a preference factor there. Some people like smaller bells, they like the compact of the iron. Some people like the same size weight, whatever it is. Another fact with the competition kettlebell is another thing that you hear online. It's a really common approach. It's what I mentioned earlier, is that it's the same size for every weight, so your technique doesn't have to change. Once you know that technique, you can do a snatch, you can do a clean, whatever it is. You pick up the next one and it's exactly the same. And that's true. It's a fact. People say it online as if it's gospel-y a good thing. But we also talk a lot about functional fitness being able to do different things, right? If I pick up something, picking up a bag of dog food and moving it in my garage is a different shape than picking up a Tupperware box, even though the weight might be the same, which is a different shape than if I have to pick up a kettlebell and move it somewhere. There's very few things, there's nothing that we do in the real world that's exactly the same shape and exactly the same weight over and over and over again, right? So one of the advantages of functional fitness training is that it's different. So my 35 sits on my arm slightly different than my 25. 35 is a little bit bigger. I work with them both and I love them both. So that's not a good or a bad, in my opinion. It's just a fact of what it is. From my own personal experience, I had done a lot of reps, thousands and thousands of reps with the iron bells. And then when I got the competition bell, the adjustable bell, it felt like a beach ball. It was just hard to get used to it. I dedicated myself to it and I said, I really want to use this thing. This is the way of the future. I should even have a whole set of competition kettlebells. And so I did tons of reps. And I got into a volume snatch program and I was doing snatch and snatch and snatch. And actually the shape of the bell is a little bit different, the shape of the window where you hold, and the steel feels different than iron. And I actually got a lot more blisters from the competition kettlebell. Now, everybody online, all the forums, everything that I've read, it says that it's technique. It means that I was holding it incorrectly. Maybe true, but I did thousands and thousands and thousands of reps and I couldn't fix it. So I really struggled with that to the point that I was doing snatches and I felt hot spots developing. And I said, okay, next workout, eventually these are going to be calluses, because I always have calluses on my hands. That's part of kettlebell. But I expected these things to turn into calluses. And I was doing a snatch program, and just in one of the snatches, I felt a pinch. And I was like, I should stop. And then I did one more and it ripped. And I had a big bloody thing on my hand. It just, a big blister ripped open. And it was painful. And I had to stop working out for a couple of weeks while it healed. And that was sort of the end of the road for me with those. I wasn't really happy with it. Personally, the other thing, I already talked about my mixed weight workouts. If you're going to do one weight one day and one weight the next day, or even more so, if you're doing a endurance program and you want to do like 5 minutes with one weight and then a couple minutes with a heavier weight and then go back to a lighter weight, you can't do adjustments like that on the fly with the adjustable. It just, you're sweaty, you're tired, and then you got to stop for 2 minutes and unscrew this thing, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So I think if I had started with a 25 and a 30 or a 25 and a 35, either of those would have been enough to get me a long way on my journey. Eventually, currently I have a 25, a 30, a 35, and a 40. So I have 4 kettlebells, and it's all I need. I don't know that I'm ever going to need to go heavier than my 40. So for me, that works out perfectly. From a shape standpoint, the iron ones all fit a little bit different. They hold in your hands. My 25, 35, and 40 fit perfectly. They rest right on my arm and I love them. My 30 has a little bit of an angle and it sits slightly different, and I don't love it. I can feel it sometimes when I'm doing work with it. So I am always in the market for another 30 pounder. I will replace it at some point, but I'm still using it. It's not enough. It's not painful. I just don't love it. So it's what works for you. That's my story. That's what worked for me. I think if you're just starting out and you have the ability to afford an adjustable kettlebell, it's a great place to start. First of all, you don't have the predisposition to the small ones. The handle being different won't matter for you because it's what you learn with, and you'll be able to fine tune your weight. So I think an adjustable competition kettlebell is a great place to start. Mine was from a company called Kettlebell Kings. You can find them online. I think there's another one called, one of my kettlebells is from there, Bells of Steel online. And they have a Mark Wildman edition where he's marketing with them. They have a smaller one, I think, that goes up to 25 pounds. And then they have a bigger one that's 25 to 70 pounds. So there's options out there. If price is a big consideration and you don't have the money for an adjustable kettlebell, start with one. Buy a 25 or buy a 35, and you could probably get a lot done with it. I am 5'9", 140 to 145 pounds depending on the day, and I do most of my work with a 25, some of my work with a 35, but that has changed over the years. When I was leaning into strength a little bit more, I did 35. So if you're bigger than me, maybe start with a 35. If you're not sure, and you can do a lot of work with the 25 and grow into it. So if you had to pick one and you don't have a lot of funds, that's what I would do. If you can afford $200 to $300, competition adjustable kettlebell is a great place to start. Hope this was helpful as you're building your journey, as you're building your functional fitness and you want to add kettlebells to it. Let me know how it goes. Let me know what you decide. And I hope your program works for you as well as mine did for me. Thanks a lot. Go get better.